I'm going to say the next bit. I want to go to Ibiza.
Hi, my name is Rob Seaman and welcome to a new podcast called Just Turn Up, where we talk to people about their careers, what's shaped their careers, the journey, their failures, hopefully their successes as well, what mindset they've used and what they do maybe on a day-to-day to get the performance and get to the results they want. I'm very happy to have a very good friend of mine here with me today, Charlie Tatman, who is the Operations Director at Hï here in Ibiza. I've known Charlie a little while, and I just want to ask him a little about his journey and sort of the important things that push him forward on a day-to-day basis. So I think, what was the first year? Was it 1999 I first met you?
Yep, 99 when I first came to the island.
And so people know, can you just run through a little bit about what brought you to the island, what you first did, and just a little short bit of your journey and where you've got to now?
First came to Ibiza in 99, working for First Choice Holidays as a rep, and that was my first introduction to the island and also obviously to the clubs and everything else. And then from then I was on and off the island until probably 2002, 2003, where I then came back and did my final year with First Choice and then transitioned from First Choice into working in nightlife. Spent 7 years at Eden and then moved over to Space and played in Bossa. And then after that, I stayed within the building for the transition from Space to Hï.
And was like the music industry something you always, like a lot of people in the music industry have a moment where they go, that was the moment where I was like, I need to do this. Was that with you, or was it just something that you fell into? What was the progression? How did it work?
When I grew up in Newcastle, we used to go clubbing a lot from the age of 16, 17 years old. We always used to meet in a local bar in Newcastle when we used to decide what night or what club we're going to go to. And we spent maybe 2 or 3 years moving around the whole of the country, whether it was the Hacienda or Sub Club or...
The route, the journey.
Yeah, and just did that. And then I kind of didn't fall into it deliberately. It was something that I really enjoyed doing, but I wouldn't say I really wanted to go and work in nightlife.
So you went to Brighton, didn't you? You went to university? Was that?
I did, yeah. I was there I went to university for 3 years, did a degree in hospitality management. And then after I finished that, I stayed in Brighton, ran some bars. And then I would probably say that's when I sort of started getting into clubs. I was promoting a night called Judgment Day with a guy called Gary Benetton from Southampton. We had Paul Oakenfold playing, Judge Jules. And then I was doing a few other sort of one-off parties in Brighton as well.
And so when you were doing that, did you then think, here, a good way to get to what I want is through the repping? Did you think, right, well, I'll get a rep job and that'll take me to where I want to go, and then from there, let's see what happens? Was that a deliberate journey? Was that a...
Not at all. It couldn't have been more different, really. I was in Brighton and I was partying a lot, and I kind of needed to get away from the party. Okay. And I was, funnily enough, at an after party talking with a guy called Pete Hayward. I was talking to his girlfriend, and she was the HR manager for First Choice Holidays. She said, if you want to get away, why don't you go and be a holiday rep? So what transpired, I went for an interview 2 days after. At the end of the interview process, I said, can you do me a favor? Whatever you do, please don't post me to Ibiza. And
so you asked not to go to Ibiza?
Yeah, I didn't want to go to, because I was trying to get...
So I'd have thought you'd think it'd be the other way, that you'd be like, listen, if I can get Ibiza, that would be like the thing. But
no.
It was the opposite.
Couldn't be more different. I did not want to go from one melting pot to another melting pot.
A bigger melting pot.
Exactly, yeah. And got a letter through 2 weeks later saying, congratulations, you've been...
going to...
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh God. But I suppose what happened, and I've got no regrets to it at all. But everybody that I was seeing in Brighton and trying to move away from, whether it was...
I bet they were delighted. Charlie's got Ibiza! The flights from Brighton to Ibiza, like the prize from Gatwick, the prices went sky high, right?
But ended up in Ibiza, and then from then it's just been an amazing journey that I've been on.
Incredible. So when I met you was before I was at Cafe Mambo. When I met you, I think I was probably working for Bartolo, who owned the venues which are now Cova Santa and 528. And I was running all of them for him. And we were doing like tour company excursions there, right? Before, I mean, we did, John Davis did Sundance, so we did some housey things, but it was more sort of normal.
And at Seaman as well.
And at Seaman, and I had Seaman as well, where we did UK Garage and we did lots of different things. But I remember the first time, I don't know if you remember this, the first time I met you, we were out with people, and I think you knew people I knew, and we were out, and I met you and we were sat, probably had we were quite refreshed, should we say. And I remember saying to you, where are you from? And you said...
Hexham, Northumberland.
And I said, I think, oh, my girlfriend's from Hexham. And you said to me, what's her name? And I said, oh, Katie Sayburn. And you went, would that be the same Katie Sayburn that I used to work with in Pizza?
Exactly.
Takeaway restaurant in Hexham. And that was like just the start of a wonderful friendship,
exactly,
right? And that was
exactly.
A long time ago. So as I remember it, I mean, we obviously worked together at Eden with the Pete Tong thing, which was that 2007, 2008, something like that, when we put Wonderland in there.
Yeah.
But before that, you used to work with Toby, didn't you? You used to have, so you were at Eden. Were you at Eden when you had the VIP Range Rover business?
Yes, that's correct, yeah. So we had like a concierge business, as well as when I was working at Eden as well.
And I remember, because I sometimes came or I'd see you in Mambo afterwards, sometimes when Bisley played in the afternoon, I think for We Love it would have been, right? You used to always go with him.
Yeah.
And then, I think I came a couple of times, and then Bisley would sometimes do the sunset for me afterwards. Jason Bye would then do the sunset for me afterwards. And is that how you sort of, was it Fritz who was Fritz or was it Juan? Was it after?
Juan was there when I actually started at Space.
So did you meet Juan, did you get that, because you used to go, I remember religiously, you used to drive Bisley, I think. I don't think Jason had a car.
No.
I think you used to drive him there every week. And is that how you met the Space people? Did it go from there?
No, not at all. Obviously, I knew Mark and Sarah from We Love, and that was obviously the Sunday, but I didn't know anyone in the sort of the main office of the club at all. I heard that there was a position and an opening there, so...
Okay, you just wasn't part of that at all?
No, not at all, no.
And then, as you said earlier, so when Space transitioned to Hï, and you know, I think lots of people have spoken about why and all those bits. We don't need to talk about that. For you, as like being at both, how was that different? Like Space and Hï, because in my eyes, Space at the time was the #1 club in the world. That's a personal opinion, and now Hï is voted #1 club in the world. How do you look at them? How are they different? What's the?
I think that if you want to think about it, we're now talking about maybe 10 years ago now. So the whole landscape of clubbing in Ibiza has changed. I think the clubs were completely different in a way that Space was 4 rooms of music, so 4 rooms of programming, whereas Hï is 2 big beautiful outside areas with no music and then 2 main rooms of music. I think the clientele's changed. I think people's clubbing experience has changed, what people want from a club.
I think experience is, I would agree with it. I think Space was like a disco, but an amazing disco, maybe the best one in the world, but the experience that Hï brings is just another level.
But also you've got the things, all these clubs have changed in Ibiza for one of the main reasons, and that's because of the laws that everybody has to abide by. Mm-hmm. You've got to have your music off by 11 o'clock, or you can't have music after a certain time because it hasn't got a structural roof on it. So I think to compare the two, there was 2 such different clubs. Yeah. But don't get me wrong, in their time and when they were there, they were the 2 best clubs on the island for sure.
And I'll go a bit deeper now. And how do you think you've changed between doing the same thing, like within those clubs? Is there things that you can identify, obviously younger and then you're getting older, what values, what do you think do you bring in a different way?
I think you're, as a manager or in whatever sort of position you are, especially in nightlife, you're continually learning. I'm still learning now. I'm learning from different people that I work with within the club. I think you learn to sit back a little bit before you make a decision. Mm-hmm. And also you've got to make sure that the decision that you make is the right one at the time. And I think we had to make decisions in Space, and we now will still make decisions in Hï that have to be on the spot, something that we can't control. And I think I've learned to be a lot more patient, but also much more of a team player as well, I think, in every element of the club.
I guess there must be. I mean, I can remember one situation coming to your closing, and it was torrential rain. I mean torrential rain. And the power kept going off, and it was just... And I remember watching, and everyone just seemed to be running about, and I just remember seeing you, and I wanted to come over and help, I knew I couldn't, and just seeing you through the crowd, and you were just like... Yeah. You know, I mean, is that... I guess it's a hard thing to do, and it's a skill that you've got, but how does that translate to the team? How do you try and...
Well, the thing is, if you've got any of the managers or anyone running around the club panicking, then that's going to feed down to everybody else. Yeah. You know, they say behaviour breeds behaviour. So if you've got to keep a cool head, where in the background, there's chaos going on, but you just still have to keep cool and calm with everything, and that's the kind of the way to deal with it.
Yeah. So talking about your team and like, you know, how you keep them calm, how many, I guess there's two ways to go. How many events do you guys run back to back in the summer? How intense is that?
If we're just looking at Hï this year, we're doing 147 events, and we are looking at probably 133 back to back.
Every day?
Every day.
A whole team, everyone there?
No, the majority of the team have a day off.
Right.
Apart from myself.
And how does that, I mean, you know, you're talking about staying calm in a difficult situation. Where we are now, so it's you know, the summer's here, right? The summer's just starting. How do you, mindset-wise, and sort of how do you motivate yourself knowing that that's coming? I mean, how, you know, is there certain things you do on a daily basis, like repetition and stuff? What do you do?
I want to get into a routine as quick as possible. At the moment, when we're going to open up all three venues, let's talk about Hï. When we open up Hï, then we do have a break of 3 or 4 days, and then slowly a lot of the residencies will start to drip in, and then by the last week of May, I think it is, we go 7 days a week. But I just think the way I get through summer is a routine, and I make sure that I try and get as much rest as possible. When I get in, I'm normally getting in about, depending on the party, normally about 7, 8 in the morning. Try and have some...
Every day?
Every day. Get some food and then go to bed, and then try and naturally wake up rather than setting an alarm clock.
Okay.
But as soon as you wake up, you're thinking about work anyway, so it's not as if you're suddenly going to have another hour's sleep.
Yeah.
And then just get into that routine, and then try and have a little bit of I normally have a disco nap just before I go to work, so nothing more
before you go to disco?
Exactly, yes. So normally half an hour, and that kind of gets me into a mindset. And then I'll always go up and eat near the club.
Okay.
So I'm near enough to the club if there's something that I need to go in for, but I normally get up to the club for 9 o'clock.
So even when you're having your dinner, basically you're at work,
yeah,
right, at the club.
But this is the thing about doing what we do. It's not like I don't want to say a normal job, but you leave your work at your desk.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
No, it's non-stop, right?
No,
especially
so,
if you work in the summer.
But also the team works 24 hours. So even if I'm at home, we still have a logistics team, we have a production team.
People are going to pick people up from airports, dropping them off for flights.
So it's a 24-hour cycle, and it's like that non-stop.
And I guess, you know, people from the outside, I mean, I guess a good question is what your job actually is and what people perceive your job to be. Because let's be honest, I mean, you know, as you know, I worked in Ibiza for 20 years, and people see it as glamorous.
Yeah.
You're working in the sunshine, you're in like the music industry. The reality is that, you know, to have that mindset to do this day in, day out is such a different thing, right?
Yeah, but the key thing is you've got to enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very fortunate to be doing a job that I really, really enjoy. And it's not just the job itself, it's the environment I work with, it's the team that I work with. And I think that's one thing that gets you through the summer, because you're going to walk into an environment at the club where everybody has got the same target that they want to get to. And I think that's one thing that gets it through. You could never do it walking into an environment that you didn't enjoy. So I think that's one key thing for me, for sure.
And for people who don't know, so your wife, Leslie, is head of music, a director of music at all of the venues.
Yes.
How's that? Because obviously I guess you don't see each other as much as a normal couple maybe would in the summer. Does that put extra stress on the work, do you think? Or have you got it to a point where it works better?
I think it works, well, I know it works better because we both understand each other's positions. Mm-hmm. So the thing is that, but not positions, commitments and everything else, where we know one day is never the same. We could organise to have a lunch somewhere, and then suddenly the phone could go and Leslie would have to go somewhere, or I would have something that I have to go and deal with. So we know that our summer is
so
work.
I guess you're in the
work.
same position, so
Exactly.
there's not a point where if one person had the job and one didn't, I guess it would put more stress because, people would be asking for more.
Yeah, but say if Leslie wasn't in the position or working in the industry that she's working in, you can imagine how frustrating it could be trying to organise a dinner, and then suddenly it's the first dinner or the only dinner we're going to have that week, and suddenly it has to be put on hold because something's happened at one of the venues or whatever. So it's a tricky one.
We keep saying the industry, obviously the music industry. How is it? I mean, I work in it, I've worked in it, and there's a certain point to it where I guess for everybody, and everyone would admit this, there's like a certain like fakeness, and there's certain people that, you know, are different. How easy is it for you now, after all your experience, to identify that of someone in the industry that, how would I put it, you know, is a genuine, not a genuine person, but someone that's really going to last the distance, or, you know, you would really trust to do? Is it something that you recognise early now, would you say?
In a way, yes, but then Ibiza can be a very unforgiving place. People can get the life party balance wrong, and I've seen a lot of people do that. But I've seen a lot of people who have done that, then got through the other side, and then have learned from the mistakes that they've made or decisions that they've made. I just think in nighttime you meet so many different people. It's very hard even to build a relationship with people, because the times that I see people, I've probably got a minute or 2 minutes to talk with them, because there's so many different elements going on behind in the background that I might have to go and to deal with.
And I'm sometimes that person you see for a minute, as you know. And that's another question, I guess, would lead me to, how hard is it sometimes for you to sort of, I guess, keep your feet on the ground? Because, you know, let's be honest, where you are in the summer especially, everyone wants a bit of you. They want a drinks ticket, or they might want guest list, or they might want a wristband, or, I mean, how hard is that for you to keep your feet on the ground and sort of, you know, and realise that, you know, you've got to manage that?
You can either do it, you can either take it one or two ways. You can let it worry you, or you might get frustrated about it, but 9 times out of 10, I know why someone's talking to me, because they want something from me. But unfortunately, that's the industry that we're in. Yeah. And I think if you start taking that to heart or reacting to it, then that's where it's going to start affecting the actual job that you've got to do. Yeah. You've seen the posts I do every single year,
I know it's coming to opening or closing time where no guest list. Yeah. Did you not? Is this true? Did you not even make some T-shirts? Were they Hï T-shirts?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So you made some T-shirts that said Hï Ibiza.
No guest list.
No guest list.
Sorry.
I mean, genius. So talking about the industry, what is there anything? I guess people all have their own perception of what it is. Is there anything surprising that you think people would think about in the industry, like something that they wouldn't know, or is there anything like, you know, what would they be surprised about, do you think?
I think the thing that most people are surprised about is the consecutive days that you actually work. I think when people think about nightlife, especially in the UK, they think of clubs are open at the weekends. And I think sometimes when they come here, they don't understand that the venues that we have are open 7 days a week, and that there is a large amount of us who are in that club every single night.
Yeah. I remember having a conversation with you going back years about most people sort of in the UK go out. It was the weekends thing where people go out at weekends. And like you said, you know, they might go out Friday night, Saturday, even maybe on a Sunday. And I think working here, like we have for so many years, I think we said we've had all our weekends. You know, you feel like, you know, and that was probably 10 years ago when we said that, right? Yeah,
it's tough. But I think that's probably the thing that surprises people the most.
Yeah. And with that, and like you said again about, you know, the consecutive days and the work and how hard it is, I guess for the club over the summer, there's goals that it sets, right? You know, we want to hit this target, we want to sell that many tickets. Do you, like, to get through that, like, set yourself personal goals within the year, like within the summer? Is there something that you look to do yourself to get you through it?
I think the nice thing about working in the venues is that every single night's different. Mm-hmm. It's normally a different style of music, which then brings a different type of clientele. My personal goals are just making sure that everybody comes to that club, whether it's a punter or whether it's a DJ, has the best experience that they have. Mm-hmm. So my goal every single day is to make sure, for example, let's talk about artists, make sure that the artist arrives to the venue and they have the best experience. But the most important thing for me is a goal that I set me and my team and everyone, that when we put them in the car at the end of the night, that experience is still the same. So I think that's one thing that sort of keeps
consistency, right?
No, you have to have it, you know, it's so important. And it's the same for a punter who's going to come through the main door. You want every part of their experience to be the best. Because you can have the best meal in the world, but if your dessert's bad, that's all that you're going to talk about. So that's the daily goals that I think, well, I set myself, and I like to set the team. And I constantly remind them as well, this is what we need to be doing.
And being in that, you know, esteemed position you're in, have you ever, and the way you've worked through that journey, have you ever sort of suffered a bit of imposter syndrome? Was there ever a point when you were suddenly there and you were like, oh my God, I'm the operations director at the #1 club in the world? Have you ever had sort of I guess it's a bit of self-doubt, right? You know, you've got to such a high level from, not a low level, I don't mean it like that, but you know, where you've come on that journey through your Ibiza journey. Have you ever had that, like a bit of, you know, I guess unsure?
I think the only small side of that is, am I too old for this? Because,
you are very old now.
I know, but I think because we're in such an environment where a lot of the clubbers on the dance floor age between 18 and 35, and I'm a little bit older than that.
Yeah. On the high end of 35, shall we say, as am I.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's the only thing. Am I getting too old to do this? But I'm still getting up. I'm still really enjoying the job. I'm still enjoying the environment that I'm working in. So I think no, but maybe someone might look at me and go, who's that old git in the corner of the green room?
Listen, so as you know, with you, you know, sometimes we put some promotions and stuff on in the UK, and I tend to go because I'm interested how they go, and I must admit, I'm like, but yeah, and you know what, and I guess at the position you're in, it's the most important, these are through my lens, right, not yours, not your words, the most important thing is the experience. Yeah. That because that's what you bring, right? You bring that experience, so you know how to make it happen properly.
Yeah.
So taking you back to sort of like, you know, that letter from, was it First Choice? Yep. Saying, congratulations, you've got Ibiza.
Yep.
Are there times when you look at that and think, I guess that was a life-changing moment, right? I mean, we have these things during our life that happen. Do you look back at that sometimes and think, God, that was the best thing, if it wasn't for that, you know, none of this? Is that something that you ever think about?
Kind of in a way, but then First Choice would have seen something in me that maybe I wasn't seeing or something like that, I don't know. But yeah, I was from what led on to me coming here and working has led on to everything else. So
I guess one of the biggest and I would, you know, best decisions of your life, right? To take that and come here.
Yeah. It's been amazing. So I kind of have to thank First Choice Holidays for sending me to Ibiza, the place I didn't want to go.
Incredible. I mean, obviously it's a completely different environment than staying in the UK, and you've said, you know, quite strongly, I wasn't. You could, you know, if they'd have given me Ibiza, I was going to say no. How do you feel if you had have said no and you hadn't have been in this environment? Do you ever think? I mean, I guess we all think a bit what if, but where would you see yourself? I guess that's a big question, but where would you? What do you think?
I think I would have moved abroad in some capacity. I don't know where. I just went for it, you know.
And do you think within the music industry or?
Well, the thing is, I was at First Choice for 4 years until I actually fell into working at Eden.
So coming back to the music industry.
Yeah, but definitely abroad for sure.
And I guess for people watching this, you know, who I'm sure aspirationally many people would, you know, maybe hearing the hours and the consecutive days slightly different, but would love to do something you do. Is there any tip? Is there anything that, you know, any guidance you could give to say, you know, if you want to get to there, that's a key thing that you need to do? Any advice?
I think you just need to be committed to anywhere that you want to get to. I think you always have to be open to learning. You can never think that you know everything, because nobody does. I continually learn every single day from things that go on in the environment that I'm working in. Dedication, honesty, I think that's a big thing for me. And just never say no to anything.
Okay, so I guess the last question, if you will, would be, you know, you are, as we discussed at length, where you are, you know, ops director at the number one club in the world for 4 years. To motivate yourself, like what's next? You know, my mantra, you know, something I say is, what do you want? And if I ask you that question, what do you want?
I want to continue working in the environment that I work in, and I think it's key to be doing something that I enjoy. And I want to continue doing that for hopefully 10 years. But I will always want to stay within this industry. I think I've learned so much from it, and I think I've got quite a lot of experience to help other people coming through the industry as well. But I just want to stay happy and healthy and work, and I think that's the most important thing.
And all right, so maybe one more question. That wasn't the last question. If you had to suggest somebody that, you know, we had on next to talk about their journey and how they've got there and, you know, how we've done today, who would you say? Who would be good?
I could, rather than naming a person, I think someone good would be someone on the other side of the industry that I'm in, and that would be a DJ. I think a DJ has to go through a lot of challenges when they're in the job. So I would say I would recommend, or I would suggest, that you interview a DJ, maybe one from Ibiza.
Well, thanks for coming to talk to us today.
No worries.
It's been emotional.
Yes.
As they say.